Hello everyone and welcome to Overgrowth Weekly number 31. Today is July 17th, 2011. I am Silverfish and today we have a pretty awesome show for you guys. Unfortunately Anton isn't here today. He has to do his important TV show business. But hopefully he'll be back next week and yeah. So, that will be great. So this week we're going to take a look at the latest alpha as usual. We're going to take a look at an all-new Fox character. It's very awesome. And we have this new segment called Side Notes this week as well. We're going to just quickly mention a few of the updates. And then we have a bit of news at the end. But as usual we're going to start out with the weekly alpha, where we take a look at what's new in the latest alpha and show them off in the engine. So, last week they started working on the grass system, or I should rather say the detail object system, but it can be used to, for example, make grass and stuff like that. And this week they continued work on that, but I'm just going to go through the list here in order. So we will not get confused. So first, testing new flesh cut sound. So what I'm going to do to test that out is give me a weapon. Actually, let me switch to the game there. There you go. So let's scroll down here, just get a weapon, and then let's add a character. Let's add him. And there they go. Let's see. Let's pick this weapon up. Attack this guy. And yeah, listen closely now. Do you hear that sound? Me neither, almost. Not at all. It's very low. It's that sound when you hit them. And I don't know, I don't know if I like this actually. This sound is kind of lame. The other one that was more like string when you hit them, it was much more awesome. I feel like they have a bit more work to do there. But of course he did make this change so that it would be more realistic, and of course it is more realistic having a not as exaggerated sound, I guess. But well, it just feels so lame. It doesn't feel nearly as satisfying when the sound is just when you hit them instead of shing. But yeah, I think it needs more work, but it's a good idea. Let's put it at that. Next up, we have detail object batches using uniform arrays. So I'm actually not entirely sure what this means, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but it's something awesome about the detail objects. So let's leave it at that. And then we have grass frustum culling. This is this means that grass that is on a slope, for example, if it's on a slope that's away from actually frustum culling. I should have checked this up before, but there are several types of culling, and culling means that you exclude an object from being rendered when it comes to game engines, that is. So I don't remember if frustum culling means that if the grass is outside of your view, it will not be rendered, or if it means that if the grass is, for example, on the other side of a hill, it won't be rendered. But it's one of those two, and it's just great. Because, of course, it makes the game run faster when you don't need to render grass that can't be seen anyways. And then we have the wind affecting grass vertex shader. Let's take a look at that. Oh yeah, you probably saw some of that already, but as you can see, the grass is swaying in the wind. Looks actually very cool. Very cool, makes the grass really come alive. Yeah, adds a lot to the immersion, and also I'm pretty sure it uses the same wind system, I suppose you could call it, as the trees. So it should kind of sync up with the trees and stuff like that. So it should look like one uniform wind. Looks very cool. And next up, we have only nearby grass patches kept in RAM. Not entirely sure what this one means either, but oh wait, yeah, of course, only nearby grass patches kept in RAM. It only keeps the nearby grass patches in RAM. That's all there is to it. It doesn't load. It loads them from the hard drive, I guess, if they're not close enough to you. So, yeah. This is also good because it uses less RAM. It doesn't have to have all the points for the detail objects loaded at once, and that is of course a good thing. And then we have detail objects specified in level XML. Yeah, you can specify what detail objects and edit everything you want about the detail objects in the levels XML file. I was hoping to have a kind of tutorial on this subject today, but I've been very busy today, so I didn't have time to. Hopefully I'll have one for next week, perhaps. We'll see what happens. This is of course good because it's a very, very easy way to change what grass you have in your level and how it looks, etc. Automatically adapt grass system to different grass models. I'm actually not sure what this means either. Man, I am so uneducated today, but it sounds very nice. But let's just move on with the show. So, let's move back to the agenda. Next up we have the community segment. In it we always start out with the Fanart Watch, and then we move on down the list. But before I do that, I'm going to actually turn off Overgrowth, and so you won't need to have this thing in the background sounding. Okay, so Fanart Watch. This week there was a lot of fanart. If you remember last week, we asked people to make a lot of fanart because, you know, there had been a real shortage. I mean, last week there was no fanart whatsoever. So, yeah, we asked you to do anything, even if it was just a line character with line ears. So, Rujin was so kind as to make that happen for us. Thanks, Rojin. This guy is really great. I really appreciate it. So he writes specifically for the guys of OG Weekly. If you don't get it, watch OG Weekly 30. So yeah, really, really awesome. Next up, we have a piece by Mr. Boar OG, who's been making all sorts of renders for Overgrowth, and this one looks really, 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 really cool. It looks like he's imported one of the Overgrowth models and used. I hope he's done that. I hope he hasn't made it on his own. That would be a lot of work, and that would be very cool, of course. But yeah, you get my point. Yeah, this image, so awesome. And it's also big enough to be used as wallpapers for a lot of people. Yeah. This image, I just don't know what to say. It's just great. So, use this as your desktop background. You will not regret it. So that one is made by Boar OG. Let's see what he writes. Yeah. Yeah, he didn't really write a whole lot about it. Dead rabbit guard floating in a lake. I made a water scene because some people seem to like them. Wink, winky face. And then we have an image by Mr. SucksOr, SucksOr. A quick sketch of some cat assassin types. We don't have enough of those. Sorry for the lack of detail and cheesy backgrounds. And then and then Endo Perez answers, haha, quick sketch, in quotation marks, and in quotation marks also, sorry for the lack of detail. And then he says, that's awesome and you know it. And yeah, this is really awesome. Well, I actually have to agree that it doesn't have a whole lot of detail, but it's still very awesome. It looks very, very, very nice. The good thing about having it more of a sketchy way like this is that you have to use your imagination to fill in the blanks. And that is often a good thing. Especially if you don't know what to put there. If you don't know what to put somewhere, if it's in shadow or whatever, just leave it blank and leave it to the imagination, of course. You need to use that with moderation, but you get my point. Really, really nice image by Mr. SucksOr. And then we have a recurring artist here, which is Daniel777. And he says, simply art. And this week he has been so kind as to explain what the different parts of the image are, because in the past we've actually had a bit of trouble seeing what his images are supposed to be. But this time he has made text showing us what the different parts are. There's a wolf there apparently, and then there's a moon there, we can see that, and a huge planet. Reminds me of The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, but probably not, I don't know. Still cool in any case. And then we have a rabbit far to the right there, but yeah, that text is like turned in the wrong direction, but that's cool. And in general, this image, as is usual, Daniel's images are very inspiring. I always get inspired to make the levels he creates, or I get inspired to make levels of the images he creates, because yeah, they just look like they would be awesome looking if they were made into levels. He's got a nice mix of different medias, I suppose you could call it. I don't know what the different pens are called, so I'm not going to even to try doing that. But he has got some traditional pen on paper art in the middle, and then he has got some computer generated stuff in the edges. And in general, looking very cool. Nice job once again by Daniel777. And then we have Hi Nathan, who has created an image, and he writes, I've always been in love with the Redwall series, so I'm pretty pumped about Overgrowth. Here's my badger rat thing. Funnily enough, I was inspired to do this after watching Silverfish's Overgrowth Weekly thing, which then led to a terrifying episode of Amnesia, The Dark Descent. Shudder. So that's really cool that my episode inspired him to do this. I guess specifically because we asked for art, and this image is very, very awesome. Oh my good lord. And this does remind me of Redwall, yes, like he writes. One thing that kind of disturbs me is that his foot is kind of a human foot. I guess we all have different images of how the Redwall characters looked, but I didn't imagine them having human feet. So that's kind of unsettling to me, but how the character looks, I mean how he's drawn the character, how he's been shading it, how the fur looks, it all looks very, very awesome, and I hope we can get to see more from this guy in the future. So that was made by Hi Nathan, and next we have another image by SucksOr. And this is kind of the same style, black and white style. It's very good to draw in black and white if you... Yeah, it's much quicker, and you really don't need color to give the impression that you want to give. So he writes... well, first off, he says that Hi Nathan made an awesome picture, and yeah, that's true. And then he writes, just another sketch that I obscured with blackness so I didn't have to add details. This time it's a dog. I thought those things might be pieces of wood, something a scout might wear. And that is very good. Very, very good. It looks good. It's in line with the lore as well, because the dogs like using wood for lots of different stuff, including armor. And this is another sketch that's looking very awesome. I'm not entirely sure about the anatomy of this one, but about the proportions, I should say. But it looks good. Could be stylized. I don't know. And then we have one more piece, and this one is by what's it called, TenguCoup, and this one is so cool. And let's I'm just going to read to you guys what he writes about this. Wow, I just found out about Overgrowth about 2 weeks ago, and I've been falling in love with it since. Great job so far, Wolfire team. You guys both rock and inspire. So I made a fan art piece, and hopefully I'll be able to pre-order too. The alpha looks like a blast. This is Master Tubu, self-explanatory pick. Pother? Oh, he added a P to to the start of other. So, other than the fact the coloring job is quick and sloppy, blah 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 pick. And here's the picture. This picture looks very, very awesome. I really like the style. It's very different from from Aubrey's art style, I should say. It's kind of a more stylized style, but he has obviously looked at Aubrey's stuff. I like those buttons he has on his left leg, as you can see. I'd like to remember I've seen those used in armor pieces made by Aubrey as well. This image, he says the color work is fast and sloppy. Then I'd like to see his real color work, because I think this color looks really awesome. And this image, just wow, this looks very, very cool as well. So that image made by TenguCoup, very nice work. And that's it for the Fanart Watch for this week. Definitely keep making the fan art. We're going to keep covering the fan art here on Overgrowth Weekly, so anything you make will and posting the fan art thread will end up in Overgrowth Weekly and fall victim to our words, I guess. I have a bad time finding my words. Let's just move on. So let's move on with the community segment. We have last's Whale Arena map that was recently updated. And we're going to take a quick look at that, see what's new. We did show this map previously on Overgrowth Weekly. Whale Arena.xml. But he has updated it, and now we're going to take another look. So once again, this is a map made by Last, and I actually like the way he packaged this, I can say, for starters. He did package it very well, so it was very easy to install and all that, and that is something I really appreciate, of course. Something that's kind of boring, I guess, is that, as you can see, he doesn't use the new grass. That would have been nice to see, but you know, still very cool. And something else you notice is that I don't have any shadows calculated on this level, and that is because I think he has too many objects on the level, because when I try to calculate the shadows, it just crashes when I save the shadows. And I tried 2 times, so I don't think it's going to start working either. And I tried calculating the ambient occlusion, and it just came to 50% and then it stopped. So yeah, and that is understandable with the amount of objects he has on this level, but it still runs pretty smoothly. I can run this on 60 FPS when I'm not streaming, but since I'm streaming, it's more around 20 to 30. That whale arena over there we have seen before. The new stuff we'll see when we go up here. I'd like to remember that these gravestones weren't this detailed last time, but I might be wrong though. I really like how these look though. Very nice gravestones. Oh yeah. By the way, this level, it doesn't have any gameplay on it or anything like that. It's just showing off stuff. But that's good and all. We have had a few maps like that. There are platforming maps, there are fighting maps, and there are art maps, and this, I should say, falls under the art map category. And you could say that there are 4 places in this level. First you have the arena where I begun, and then you have the graveyard where I just showed you, and then we have this tree here. It's just a nice scene to look at, and also you can climb this tree if you want to. You start out here. This was kind of a small platforming thing I did because I just like platforming. And yeah, it's possible to get to the top of this tree, though it's kind of hard, so I'm not going to waste my time doing that. Instead, I'm going to jump on. Something else notable for this level is that he has made his own terrain, so that's kind of cool. And here we're moving into the 4th place in this level. As I said, first we had the arena, then we have the graveyard, then we have the tree, and over here we have the cave. This level, as it looks like right now, it's a good start for a real level. I mentioned before that I really like having, you know, different areas in a single level where you can kind of see where you're supposed to go next. And he has shown where to go next using the roads and stuff like that. Obviously there needs to be more work done. Either he has to change his terrain texture to make perhaps rock in here on the ground, or mud, I'm not sure. Whatever he might want. Or perhaps he'll be using decals for that, I don't know. But that's about it for this level actually. And then you have the forest over here, of course, which is looking pretty damn awesome. And as you can see, he has all these objects here, and these are sound objects, so they will make sounds. We haven't heard any sounds, but they do sound sometimes. Trust me. So that is Last's Whale Arena map that was updated this week, so you should totally check that out. It's a very, very nice map. Let's exit out of Overgrowth and go back to the agenda. And next up we have Coreben 3. Or Corebane's, I'm not sure. Coreben or Coreben 3's Legend of Whaleman Bagpipes of Time. And if you're a fan of Zelda, you know that that's a... yeah, there is a Zelda game called The Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time. So this is The Legend of Whaleman, the Bagpipes of Time instead. And he has made a topic in the Suget Pre-Order forum, where he writes about that he wants to make a Legend of Zelda mod for Overgrowth. And he talks a bit about it, some people comment on it, and he writes that he wants to add a walk button and that he should jump off ledges automatically, a non-sprint run speed, and a new main character. And it's going to be John wearing the kilt wearing claymore slinging a rabbit. And that's very cool. But at the end he writes, putting on hold until I can refine the process for creating new characters for the Phoenix engine, as it's more fun and important than a new jump system. I think that might be up for discussion, but in any case, next we have Coreben or Corebane's fox character, so he did actually start making a character for Overgrowth. And a fox, which is a character that some people have been requesting to have in Overgrowth. So if he gets this into a playable state into the game, I'm sure a lot of people will really like this one. So first, here we have an image of the fox with a placeholder texture. And then, of course, he writes all about his process and all that, so you can read that, but I just like looking at the pictures. And then here we have a better looking texture map. Further down we have an even better looking texture map. And I believe he did use sculptures to make the character look better as well. Give some bump mapping perhaps. Here we have a little concept drawing. It's a paint over, as it's called, of what he wants the character's clothes to look like. And here we have the starting for the clothes for the character, I believe. And his pride and joy of this character are these bracers. And he really likes how these came out, so let's open this image in a new tab. There you go, man. And yeah, they actually do look pretty damn nice. So that's a nice character by Coreben, and I hope he manages to get it into the game in a playable state so you can actually play as this dude. That would be really awesome. He just needs to use... I know some guy made a tutorial on how to import characters into the game, and that's what he needs to use to get this into the game. So that's going to be great. We're going to keep checking back as long as he keeps updating this thread. So let's move on to the next item on the agenda. And that is that Overgrowth has been shown on a demo reel in summer. Let's see, actually. So it's B_Gorison who writes that he went back to a store. I don't know if he talked to Wolfire about this before, but he went to a store and took a picture of a demo reel, as you can see right here, in a store. And he writes in a subsequent tweet that, yeah, it's in Belgium. It's in Louvain-la-Neuve. It's a computer store, and they put that in their demo reel. So apparently they use Aubrey's concept speed painting thing, his time-lapse of drawing concept art in their demo reel in their computer store. Which is a weird thing to do. I don't think they're even allowed to do that, because I'm pretty sure that Aubrey has copyright to that material. Either Aubrey does or Wolfire Games has, so I'd say it's not really legal, but I don't think Wolfire would mind either, because it might give them some advertising, I guess. And they're cool guys and stuff, so yeah. But now they know about it, and yeah, it's cool. It's very cool that it must be quite an honor to have people use your videos on on a demo reel randomly in some country you probably have never been and never will be in, but still very, very nice. And that concludes the community segment. So really nice stuff this week. And now we're moving into the new segment here in Overgrowth Weekly, which is a, I guess, experimental segment, where I'll just be mentioning just small updates, like recurring updates, like Learn More's weekly script, for example, things that we don't really have a lot to say about, but it's still we don't want to mention as much as possible, because these guys are doing some really awesome stuff. Just by keeping their mods and stuff up to date. So let's dive right in here. So first we have Learn More's weekly script dump. As usual, Learn More has done his script dump. He has made his dump, I guess you could say. And he writes the changes are automatically matched against Alpha 136, since he could not run 137 or 138. And these script dumps are for scripters, as you might imagine. So if you're making a mod for Overgrowth, download these script dumps to find out what you can do with the scripting system in Overgrowth, with AngelScript, I should say. So that's really cool. And then we have Last's Blood mod has been updated. This week he did add one new feature, and that is that when you attack an enemy, sometimes, and you do it hard enough, there will be some text flying out from the enemy as well as blood. So that's kind of cool. You can check out the video right there in the agenda here, just follow the link. And then we have Hales Shaleguard 2 level has been released. We did preview this level, but we didn't actually put it on the agenda when the map was actually released. But yes, it has been released a while ago, actually. Almost a month ago now, I think. And he has also released a simplified version for slow computers, where the amount of objects went down from 2,800 to 1,300, so it should be much faster. So if you couldn't run the previous full version, you can download this simplified version, and it won't look as awesome, obviously, but it will still hopefully have the same kind of gameplay. And you can download this in the same thread as the normal one right there. And then we have ADM.Melonhead, who has made a super exciting Overgrowth gameplay video, in which he shows some pretty hilarious gameplay moments. He shows a couple of bugs, and then his trials and tribulations in trying to overcome a level that I think he made on his own. So that's a lot of fun. You should totally check that out. Made by ADM.Melonhead on the forums. And then we have Ben Gendra's Overgrowth trailer. So Ben Gendra's also made an Overgrowth trailer. This one is a bit more professional, I guess you could say, a bit more serious. I should probably say. But equally awesome, but in another way. It just uses cool music and mixes it with cool images, and yeah, the result is amazing. So you should totally check that one out as well. Very, very recommended. And that gets us out of the side notes segment, and next up we have the news segment. And this is also kind of a news segment, because it used to be called official news, but I renamed it to news, so I can put all sorts of different news here, even if they're not explicitly said by the Wolfire team. But things are going to be changing around with these categories from time to time, so until I find something that I really like. So yeah, it's gonna be great, trust me. There's one item in here today, exposing Overgrowth UI to AngelScript, and this is a tweet made recently, where David says working on exposing the WebKit user interface to AngelScript, so we can have useful dialog boxes and other displays. This means that you'll be using the scripting system, AngelScript, for Overgrowth, to interact with the game's user interface, which is, of course, very cool. Currently, I believe that almost, I guess, all of the user interface has been hard-coded in. So while the user interface itself have been very changeable, you can, for example, add new tabs and etc. to current user interface items. You can, yeah, change things around on the things that are already there, but you can't, for example, add a totally new menu currently. And when he has implemented this change, you will be able to add your very own menus, add your own interfaces, stuff like that. So that's going to be really, really good. It's going to be useful, for example, if in the future someone decides to make a machinima creator, like a replay editor or something like that, where you can change camera positions and stuff. If Wolfire won't make their own, you can. The community will be able to make stuff like that on their own. So that's going to be really, really cool as well, and all sorts of user interface. This is going to be infinitely useful. And that brings us out of this week's Overgrowth Weekly. So don't forget to check out the cool stuff this week. Of course, you have the update for last whale map arena right there, and if you haven't checked out this week's weekly alpha, you need to check out the grass, of course. And if you're into scripting, learn Moore's weekly script dump, check it out, man, it's really, really cool. And next week we're going to continue, of course, with the usual Overgrowth Weekly stuff. Same time, same place next week. Just go to ogweekly.com right there and check it out. It's going to be really, really cool. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.